What is going on, everyone? Welcome to Birds of the Round Table. Tonight, we are talking Eagles, why they will win, repeat as Super Bowl champs, and why they will lose. Each one of us has two reasons why. We don't know each other's responses, and we're just going to hang out, talk birds. Joining us, Ryan Reese at Philly Sports PSA. What's up, Ryan?
Not much. Glad to have Shane back. We thought, he was, I don't know, on like a deep sea adventure and just couldn't come to internet. So there he is. Glad to have him back.
I have internet again.
Thank God.
Also joining us, David at PHL Eagle News. What's up, David?
Doing well. I barely recognize Shane backstage, but it is nice to have him back. You have to tell us, where did you go that does not have internet? Because I feel like you kind of live somewhere that might not have internet. So where in the world did you go that doesn't have internet?
I was traveling internationally for the last 10 days. So it was the last 2 weeks of episodes. And I had internet to where like I could like get on Twitter or something, but I couldn't load Discord. Google Chat wouldn't load, and I did manage to post a podcast, but it took like 8 hours for it to download. So it was an adventure. It was like start the download, leave the hotel that night. Hopefully I can post it up. So it's good to be back to internet. Had a good time. I'm ready to get back into podcasting though.
Yeah, I had like a punchline. I was going to go like a Steve Zissou joke with Shane returning the aquatic life of Steve Zissou. If you haven't seen it, phenomenal movie with Bill Murray. Shane, what's going on, man?
What's up, Dives? It's good to be back chatting with the crew on a Tuesday night. Birds of the Round Table stuff. To answer Krabby's question here, we do have internet in Oklahoma. My wife just can't use the phone while I'm on the computer. But
Hear the dial-up?
Yep, Ryan still has his shower curtains in the background.
Yeah, David's setup's looking nice here. Got some lights. I like it.
It's natural light. It's just
that's just natural light. Yeah, don't be confused. It's the same
window.
It's just actual light coming through.
All right, let's jump into this thing. Let's lead off with why the Eagles will repeat as Super Bowl champs. Let's just do one reason at a time. And if you have that reason, like I guess you can give a response. Lead us off, David. Why will the Eagles be Super Bowl champs?
Because Jaylen Herz is going to evolve his game, and the Eagles' offensive play calling is going to improve. They're going to dial up more passes, including more slants, deep shots, wheel routes with the running backs. They have A.J. Brown, who I believe led the league in yards on slant routes last season, despite very limited usage doing it. So do that more. Jaylen Herz only attempted 361 passes last season. That can drastically improve, because they're going to have to take off some of the load off of Saquon Barkley. They, used him a lot last year, obviously the 2,000 yards, but they don't have anyone who can tote the ball 20 plus times a game effectively if anything happens to him, much less be as productive as he is. So they're going to have to evolve the passing game, and I think you're going to see that. I think you're going to see a lot more deep shots than you have with Kellen Moore. I think the running game will still be there and still going to be their bread and butter, but in my opinion, most teams, it's a choice to not stop the run. Defenses can crowd the box, they can load it, they can force you into that, and teams are probably going to do that, and the Eagles are going to have to be prepared to counter that this season, and I think they will be with the evolution of the passing game.
Interesting. I kind of went the opposite. I kind of went, just to say, I'll piggyback off of yours, man. I went just Jaylen Herz continuing the trend of mistake-free football. It's somewhat related. I still think they'll, maybe take a little more deep shots, but still using Jaylen Hertz's threat on the ground as a runner to set up the pass, and him just controlling the tempo. I thought we saw major improvements from Jaylen Herz in a lot of different areas. There are times when he holds on to the ball too long. There are times when his decision-making can be questionable. But, I thought his accuracy, I thought his anticipation, his timing, and a lot of different facets. And for example, like more mesh, more slants, like these are all things he thrives at. I just want to see more of. And, the times when he's trying to extend plays for too long, doing too much, I don't want to see that anymore. I want to see the exact offense we saw during the last few weeks of the season when we saw Dallas Goedert getting handoffs. We saw more mesh. We saw different things. We saw Saquon Barkley as a receiver out of the backfield. Like those are all the weapons and ways to keep defenses off balance. And I think leading on top of all of that is Jaylen Herz playing smart football. And we have seen that when he controls the football and keeps it away from the opponent, the Eagles are borderline unstoppable. So that's my take. Shane, what's yours?
I mean, the Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl because the tush push is still alive. No, that's not really it. Because they returned 10 of 11 starters from an offensive squad that put up over 36 points a game in the postseason. I mean, across 4 games in the postseason, they put up 36 and a quarter points per game, and the starters didn't even finish 2 of the games. The offense was firing on all cylinders at the end of the year, and they did so in a way where, outside of one game, honestly, I wasn't that impressed with the play calling and the things that Kellen Moore was putting out there. The NFC Championship game was really good, but outside of that, I remember sitting on shows as there were rumors about Kellen Moore leaving coming across, and I was like, okay. I mean, I didn't feel like it's going to be some huge loss. I didn't feel like he was doing great schematic things. The Eagles offense was just clicking and players were making plays, and they returned 10 of those 11 guys. And if you can't replace a right guard, there's a lot of teams that have a lot bigger problems than that. So the Eagles offense was firing on all cylinders, and the gang is back.
Yep. What was that, a postseason record, I think, for most points?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Ryan, what's yours?
Yeah, listen, piggyback off of Shane. It's 100% the offense. Shane mentioned it, 10 out of 11 starters are returning. That offense was absolutely humming at the end of the year, and obviously in the postseason. They have a clear identity where they can run the ball down your throat, and if you're gonna try and stop it, Jaylen Herz can easily throw the ball to A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. We saw it in the Super Bowl, where they focused on shutting down Saquon Barkley, and they did a pretty good job of it. And what happened? We still ended up putting 40 points on you through the air. So it's a clear identity. This offense is the engine that makes this team run, and the defense will come along. I think it'll be similar to kind of last year, where it'll take a few games to really figure out the new pieces and whatnot. But by that point, it's going to be curtains for everybody.
All right, let's go in reverse. We all have one more reason why the Eagles will repeat. I tried my best to go 1-1 offensive defense in this show, and I had a lot of difficulty picking this one. But I'm going to just speak from the heart, because if the Eagles are going to repeat, it's going to be the defense showing a lot of the same stuff we saw in 2024. And I'm speaking of the secondary, which was elite as it gets. And I'm pinpointing Keely Ringo. If Keely Ringo is as legit as his tools and athleticism and upside, I think the Eagles have a real shot, because a lot of times, especially in the playoffs, you're only as good defensively as your weakest link. What did we see all last year? Teams go away from Quinyon Mitchell all season long, really until late in the season. And Darius Slay saw a crap ton of targets, and I thought he had some ups and downs, but overwhelmingly played very positively. And I think Keely Ringo is going to get thrown to the fire, assuming we don't sign Jair Alexander. But I think Keely Ringo is a big component to this defense that's young. When you look at that defense last year, especially in the secondary, the way they were able to play in unison, play together, they were a well-oiled machine. And Keely Ringo has some big shoes to fill, assuming he is the guy. So if he can be that, that will definitely take away a lot of concerns that I have personally, because I feel like my other concern is that safety. Maybe that's a little easier to cover up than a guy like Keely Ringo, where that ball could be coming 10 plus times a game. I'll throw it back to you, Ryan. What's another reason the Eagles will repeat as Super Bowl champs?
So another reason why they will be your Super Bowl champions is the relationship between Howie Roseman and the coaching staff working together as one. The coaching staff lets Howie know exactly what they need, and Howie goes and gets it, honestly. So, you talk about, I don't know about CB2, and, Keely Ringo might be the guy. He might be, and that'll be fine. And safety, yeah, they certainly could use a guy, or tight end too, or whatever it is. If they feel like it's a necessary thing to upgrade it and figure that out, Howie will go and do it. And let's be honest, how many times do the Eagles' name get brought up anytime somebody might even remotely be available? It's because Howie's aggressive, how he knows exactly what he wants, and how he goes and gets it. And they've been doing that for the last couple of years, and it has been working like a charm.
Shane.
It's Vic Fangio. I mean, Vic Fangio is such a good defensive coordinator. And last year when the Eagles hired him, I know a lot of people were disappointed with the move. And I tried to tell people, like, he's great. Like, it's going to work out. It might take some time. And then it didn't really take very much time. But the Vic Fangio scheme is notoriously difficult to learn. You're going to have so many of these guys in year two in his scheme. Some of the guys that were key contributors in year two in the NFL, the game's going to slow down for these guys. He's going to be able to do more. And I just always trust that he is going to push the right buttons at the right times defensively, all out cover zero blitzing in the last minute of a game, notwithstanding. That's the only time I doubt Vic Fangio. The other 59 minutes of the game were great. And these guys are going to be in year two. So he's going to know the personnel better. He had input into the draft. It was a defensive heavy draft. We lost a lot of players, but Vic Fangio has done great in year one with picking the players that he wanted to work with. And I trust him implicitly for year two.
Vic Fangio for Shane. What about you, David?
I think it's everything that y'all's mentioned. It's because of their team chemistry. It's the brotherhood. It's the process that they go through every day, the desire. It's the coaching. It's the continuity of the coordinators. Despite Kevin Patullo being new on the offensive coordinator job, he's not an outsider like Brian Johnson was. Fangio's back for year two. It's not, running with a disciple like Sean Desai, or again, another outsider like Matt Patricia, but someone who's worked with the team. Some teams are satisfied when they win one Super Bowl, but this victory just made this group of players want to win more. The Georgia players on defense are used to winning, and more than that, they demand it. Jaylen Herz, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, they don't just like winning, they hate losing. And you see right after the Super Bowl, A.J. Brown was talking, just didn't give him the feeling that he thought it would give him. It's the process that these guys go through, and that's the same with Jaylen Herz. Winning is great, but it's not the winning that motivates them. It's the process, it's their relationships, and it's just a hate of losing. They just like to compete, and I think that that's going to drive this team to another back-to-back Super Bowl for the first time in the franchise history.
All right.
If I may paraphrase David, trust the process.
Trust the process, but you cannot say that in Philadelphia.
Yeah, those days are over, man. Those days are far from. Those were some fun days, and that's the beauty of the Eagles. Is I'm watching the NBA playoffs. I'm a sicko, and is there anything more fun than watching a young, team, like the OKC Thunder, grow together, play together. And the Sixers had that for a year or two. But the Eagles have that in their defense. And this is going to be a lot of fun watching this defense grow week to week. As I feel like that's going to be probably a segment we do when this season starts going forward. Let's throw it to the other. Yeah,
real quick. I didn't say this one because it's not specifically Eagles, but it applies, I think. So I want to mention it. If you look across the landscape of the NFC, who is threatening the Eagles? And I think people would say the Commanders. And I remain skeptical because we've seen the breakout year one quarterback that I think Jaden Daniels is phenomenal. But it's not uncommon for those guys to take a step back in year two as teams get more tape on them and can attack them a little more. So I'm not saying the Commanders will be bad, but I wouldn't be surprised to see them not sustain the level of play. And I could see things being a disaster in Detroit, losing both of their coordinators. We just saw the Eagles do that after the 2022 season and what happened. Frank Ragnow retiring at this point, at this juncture, is also kind of disastrous for them. Like they said, Tate Ratledge is playing center now, and he had 0 snaps at center in college, and he's a rookie. So I could see the two biggest contenders. I could see the Lions just kind of imploding. I'm not saying they will, but I could see it. And I just don't expect Washington to be at the same level this year. And outside of that, I'm not sure who you're scared of in the NFC. So it's a non-Eagles reason, but it's a reason nevertheless that I think the Eagles have a strong shot to repeat out of the NFC.
Yeah, the Rams with their D-line, with their front seven. Jared Verse taking another step, like that could be an issue.
Yeah, I will remain in a place for the rest of his career where I'm terrified of Matthew Stafford's health, which maybe isn't fair because he played really well last season, but at his age, given his injury, but I'm with you. I would say to me, the Rams are the biggest threat out of the NFC to the Eagles.
Yeah. All right, let's throw it to the other end. Why the Eagles will not repeat as Super Bowl champions. I'll lead us off. To me, I think this one's very obvious. I could have easily gone the flip, the 180 on this one. But for me, the Eagles will not repeat as Super Bowl champions because we don't exactly know who Nolan Smith and Jaylen Hunt are. There's a super young defensive line in Philadelphia this year, and Nolan Smith and Jaylen Hunt came on so strong to finish 2024. It's a very unproven group. Nolan Smith set a franchise record with sacks in the postseason. And can he carry that momentum heading into 2025? What kind of workload can he manage without losing some of that impact? We saw a guy like Josh Sweat. The more workload you gave him, the less he made an impact. You look at Jaylen Hunt, man, it's just crazy that he's still this new to the position. He was a former safety, but man, his pressure rate going from the regular season to the postseason went up like crazy. And he still needs to grow as a pass rusher, but he is pitch perfect for this Eagles defense. And long story short, my biggest concern is we see some inconsistencies with these two, which would be reasonable. I think given the makeup of this defensive line, that could be a concern. So for me, Jaylen Hunt and Nolan Smith kind of having some issues with consistency and an up and down season would be a big problem. That's where I'm going. I'll throw it to you, David. Where are you at?
You say me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I think the Achilles heel could be the same one that happened in 2023, and that's at cornerback. We saw what happened when they tried to shuffle any and everybody they could think of to put in there towards the end of the season. But if Keely Ringo or Adoree Jackson turns out to be James Bradbury via 2023, they're in big trouble this season because that is a position that you just can't mask. And they do not have anybody else really on the roster who can compete at that position. They might still be looking. I mean, I know everybody gets excited for every free agent that's ever on the market. Right now, the hot guy is Jair Alexander. But maybe he is somebody who Fangio would love to have somebody like that because it would free him up to use Cooper DeJean in many more ways instead of having to kick him outside, because he did mention that he wants him to be on the field even in base this year, which would likely mean if he's not safety, he's going to be kicked out, and if they had a more reliable corner, they would be able to put him in as safety and leave him in there. So to me, that's probably the biggest, outside of just injuries in general, that's probably the biggest positional gap, and probably the one that Ryan's about to talk about next would probably be my 1A and B, but maybe Ryan won't talk about it and I'll get to use it as my second one, but we'll see.
You just gave Ryan some. Ryan goes with the flow with these things. Ryan's like, yes. Shane, where you at?
Yeah, I'm going to say it's just incredibly hard to do, right? It's so hard to win back-to-back Super Bowls. And I mean, the Chiefs just did it. But if you go back before that, you have to go back to the Brady era Patriots. And before that, it's the Elway era Broncos. And those are the only teams that have done it in the salary cap era. And so it's just remarkably hard to do. Your off season is shorter. There's the distraction. And I know we talked about this team and the P word that we're not supposed to say anymore and how that's what really gets them going. But it creeps in, and the term is Super Bowl hangover for a reason. And the Eagles walk into this season with the projected fourth hardest schedule in the NFL, and everybody's gunning for them. And so it's just so tremendously difficult to do. And not very many teams have been able to get back to that pinnacle in a second season in a row. So everybody's chasing the Eagles right now. And the odds are that somebody's going to catch up.
Eagles Eric saying he's going to do a reveal. What did I miss?
What are we revealing?
I don't know.
Oh, here it is. In a few weeks, he's going to be interviewing Kurt Warner.
What?
Awesome.
Crazy.
I didn't know where Eric was going with that.
No idea where he's going with that.
Ryan, talk to us about linebackers.
Whoa. First and foremost, before I say anything, I just wanted to say love the updated picture for Nooms. You look good, buddy. Yeah, looking good. But anyway, no, I'm going to kind of piggyback off Shane once again, and
Ryan is always copying my homework.
What can I say? I was lost without you. No, I mean you're playing that much further into the season. You're playing extra games. Then you got to turn around. You have a short break, and you're right back into off-season mode. And then you're hit with one of the hardest schedules in the NFL. So yeah, I think the fact of the matter is that is 100% why most teams don't repeat. There's a lot of close calls, but this is a long season, and they just had one of the longest, and they're going to have to turn around and do it a short few months after they just did it. So yeah, I mean, again, it's always rough. So
Krabby says, Eric, when you said you had a big time guest coming up, he thought it was Ryan Reed.
I mean, come on. I mean,
Shane,
on the show before that.
Am I up again?
Sure.
Okay. It's a secondary. You look at the secondary, and I love Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell, and they had unbelievable first seasons. And nobody loved those guys even back into the draft more than I did. I wanted the Eagles to take Cooper DeJean in the first round. I was going to be thrilled if he fell that far. And I thought there was no chance Quinyon Mitchell would. So I love these guys. And in 2024, they still outplayed my expectations. And, a lot of times that we see, it's the same thing with the quarterbacks, right? I mentioned with Jaden Daniels, that sophomore slump. Guys are going to watch film on these cornerbacks, and they're going to pick holes in their techniques. And we saw things where late in the season, Quinyon Mitchell, they started testing him deep a little bit. And there were some transition things that he was having some issues with and getting beat deep a time or two. And so some of that stuff's going to pop up. And just in general, like cornerback is a really hard position to play well consistently. We saw James Bradbury fall off a cliff, and a lot of that was athleticism related, and I don't think that's going to happen. But look at Sauce Gardner's rookie season, and then what he did in his second year, and he's still a good corner, and he's bounced back, but he's had some ups and downs. Tariq Woolen, I know he was a 5th-round pick, but he was outstanding as a rookie and got benched as a second-year player. And I'm not saying they're going to get benched, but I'm saying the odds are one of those guys is going to struggle a little bit comparative to last year. And then you've got an unknown at the other boundary corner. And so much of what made the Eagles defense so good last year was their ability to leave their outside cornerbacks on an island and do cool stuff with their safeties. I don't know if you're going to trust your other boundary corner that much this year, the guy whoever steps in for Slay, and B, if DeJean and Quignon are going to inspire that same type of trust throughout the entirety of the season. So throw on top of that, you've got Andrew Makuba / Sidney Brown as another safety. So not that Chauncey Gardner-Johnson was fantastic, but it's chemistry in the secondary and regression potentially for second-year players that overperform relative to my very high expectations. I could see that being a bit of a struggle in 2025.
I fully agree, man. Fully agree. Nooms for 9 chimes in. What's the position we can afford to absorb injuries and still be okay? Anybody have a response to that? I do.
It's never, ever a quarterback.
Yeah.
It's not running back.
Sure.
It's not receiver.
No, definitely not.
I think it's an easy answer.
Offensive line.
Yeah, it's right guard. It's right guard for me. It would suck to lose Tyler Steen, but in 2 to 3 weeks, I would expect Jeff Stoutland to be fixing that issue without a doubt.
It's O-line and it's non-Jaylen Carter defensive line.
All right. Yes. I'm going to piggyback off of that because I did cheat. I did cheat. And the reason why the Eagles will not repeat as Super Bowl champions is an injury to Jaylen Carter. I just don't think the Eagles, and I hate to put that into the universe, because Jaylen Carter's my guy, but Eagles Eric, as he said on X, had the second most pressures ever in a postseason from an interior defensive lineman. He played 711 pass rushing snaps that led the league by a wide margin per PFF. Top 10 in total pressures. Win percentage can improve. Wasn't up to par compared to Chris Jones, but the gravity that dude plays with is unbelievable. And it's ridiculous that he's like borderline top 10 in terms of defensive player MVP voting odds right now, heading into 2025. I don't get it. He is a game wrecker through and through. And when it comes to a leader to step up on defense, there's no Brandon Graham. Like Jaylen Carter has to be one of those guys. So for me, it's Jaylen Carter getting hurt, man. He is the engine of this defense. He was the engine of the defense last year. I mean, you look at the run defense last year, how elite was it all season long? Give me Jaylen Carter getting injured. That's the one position they cannot afford for him to get hurt. If you were to make a long list of most important Eagles, I would say Jaylen Carter's number 1. That's just my take. That's me.
They're both named Jaylen, but yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's that vital. That vital. Shane, who would you go with?
Who
most important Eagle?
It's Jaylen Herz. It can't be anybody but the quarterback. It just can't. But Jaylen Carter is probably, I'm not sure if he's 2 or 3. Lane Johnson is in that mix, but he's probably 2. You could probably survive without Lane a little better than Jaylen Carter.
All right. David, you're up, man.
I think it's their reliance on younger players and unproven guys and or guys that have not been healthy for a season. They just don't have the depth that they have in the past, and they're relying on a lot of guys who just haven't had production. For example, Brandon Graham and Josh Sweat leave, and the Eagles are relying on 3 guys: Jalix Hunt, who has 241 career snaps, Ajomo, who had 388 snaps last year. Aziz had 392 snaps, and Uche had 249. And they're supposed to take up over 2,400 snaps. And that is a tall ask to do. And then you got a cornerback who has only had 112 snaps in Keely Ringo. Trotter, as of right now, I guess he would have to be the de facto second linebacker. He has 104 snaps in the NFL. On offense, you have no tight ends behind Goddard that are anything more than a wish and a prayer. Your backup running back to Saquon Barkley is Will Shipley, who has 65 NFL snaps, and A.J. Dillon, who had 0 last season. So it's a great thing when it works out like Zach Bond, but for every Zach Bond breakout, there are dozens and dozens of misses of guys who don't do that. And the Eagles have a roster full of players who are going to be asked to have that same type of production in order for them to get back to the Super Bowl.
All right. Ryan, who's yours? I think you have one more left, correct?
Oh yeah. Who's my can't afford to be without?
No. Who like the Eagles will not repeat the Super Bowl
You
champion?
said who, so that's see how important words are. So what mine is I'm going to talk about the linebackers. And I know it's shocking, but outside of Zach Bond, I am I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried. You have Nakobe Dean, who, let's be honest, we haven't heard a single truthful thing come out of anybody's mouth about his status, about what's going on with him, when we can expect him back, how his rehab's going. So I don't believe a single word anybody says anything about it. Then you have Jahad Campbell, who now we're saying he's going to be out for a couple of months here, so he's going to be starting off slow. And I hope that you get another Coop DeJean situation, a guy who doesn't start right away in training camp, slowly ramps up as he gets healthy, and in a couple of weeks into the regular season, he's your guy, which is great. That would be absolutely fantastic. But we can't bank on that, one. And two, what we have behind them isn't ready. Isn't going to be ready. And I'm a little worried about it. As much as I love the linebackers who we have, I just am a little concerned that there might be, at best, a few week gap here where we are trotting out Zach Bond and somebody who's going to look very, very lost out there.
Can I just point out that for years we had to live with Nate Geary, who played with his back to the ball, and
I get it. I'm
no. I just think it's
spoiled.
We so quickly become spoiled because now it's like, I mean, who do we have besides the All-Pro linebacker?
Sure, right, but at least they always had somebody that was like, all right, like in a pinch, maybe he was.
I'm not disagreeing with your point. I'm just reminiscing about how far we've come at linebacker.
Oh, believe me, Shane, I know every single pairing that's ever been in my lifetime, and they've all been crap for the most part.
Yeah,
with the exception,
it feels good.
3.
Feels good, man.
It does feel good.
Random question, David, you might know. Does Jeremiah Troder Sr. have like a role, like a job within the Eagles front office?
I don't believe he does have a declared role, but he is there and he does go to training camps and he's been at some of the OTAs. I don't think he was there today, but yeah, he does have a presence around the team, especially since his son has been there. He has been far more involved.
Yeah, when you see guys like him and Brian Dawkins speak, like it sounds like it's coming from, the front office.
Yeah, Deshaun was there today as well. They're very good about that. Kelsey is there. Like, I don't know why he still isn't on the payroll in some capacity. He is there. I've never been there and he's not been there. Like every single time last year he was there. So they have a lot. That's one of the coolest things to me about the way the franchise has grown, because they have these guys who can help the players and who players respect. And Brandon Graham's probably going to be the next one up, who you're going to see there constantly. It's just a really cool thing that they've, cultivated there.
The depth is the right answer. Jaylen Herz Brain says, what position should they bring in another player at? Anybody have a response to that one?
How much time do you got?
I think we could probably all pick 3 positions.
Probably.
Whichever one a guy gets hurt at first.
Yeah,
I mean,
well, there's that. But
I feel good about the starters relative to who's out there at every position, but it's
I want
just about
another edge rusher. I want a legit edge rusher. That's my take.
That would be my answer as well.
They aren't there though. Like there's nobody to bring in.
I agree. Yeah. But if I had to pick like what position like I would want to, emphasize, if there's someone, if they're like Jair Alexander, we have a comment here. Should we go get him? If there was an edge rusher like Jair Alexander that came out available, I would much prefer him than Jair Alexander, given even all the concerns I had about Keely Ringo.
Yeah. Jair Alexander's missed 34 games in the last 4 seasons.
That's right.
That's why he's the free agent. It's not because he's not a good player.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's why incentive-laced contracts, and you say, hey, prove you can be healthy, win a ring, and then you go get your bag and finish your career somewhere else.
And you might get a ring.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm still always going to say tight end. I hate our tight ends outside of Goddard, and even Goddard angers me for his lack of availability.
If we can get a college prospect that plays linebacker and tight end, Ryan will be the biggest fan ever.
That would be my guy.
Of reasonable players, I think Ryan's right. Michael Mayer, tight end from the Raiders. I think that would be a really solid move for the Eagles.
That would be. I absolutely agree. They've got like 5 picks in the top 3 rounds or something next year.
Yes.
Do it. Marcelo says, y'all, Eagle man caves are awesome. Mine's in progress. Eric says, Zadarius Smith. Any other takes on that before you wrap up the show?
I mean, how old is he? 34?
32. He's 32. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's not listen. I think the fact of the matter is we have over $30 million in cap space. Now, obviously, I know that we're going to be, re-signing some heavy players here. Plus, again, I also know that Howie doesn't like just spending just to spend. But I feel like we could add some depth at some key positions as training camp kind of, is underway. As guys kind of, fall through the cracks, as, there are cuts. There are certainly plenty of money to add those as we see fit.
And Zadarius played 600 snaps plus last season too, which is something they need because they highly rotate those defensive ends. And I think we all saw what happened when they didn't have the depth in 23. They all got burned out towards the end of the season, especially the guys who were on the field a lot, like Josh Sweat. They had nothing left in the tank.
Nothing.
So I don't know. I still think edge, and whoever mentioned it, Zadarius Smith is probably one of the more appealing players that's actually potentially available for them.
I mean, what about the rumors? Again, obviously, it's anytime there's anybody even remotely available, but Trey Hendrickson.
No, I mean, sounds like he wants a big bag. Yeah,
well, that's the thing. He does.
Doesn't fit the MO for Howie right now.
No, it doesn't, and he is 31 right now. So,
yeah, I love Trey Hendrickson. But
yeah,
he wants paid, and the Eagles aren't going to do that.
Someone mentioned an edge. I'm going Ty Robinson from Nebraska. I mean,
last week we did. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy. I agree. Marcel's like he's a guy that can play inside, can play outside. He was one of my favorite prospects going back to like January when Ryan and I were breaking this down. He's a guy that immediately stood out, can set the edge, has flashes of crazy pass rushing ability. I'm excited to see what he brings. I don't expect a lot of snaps from the edge, but given the Eagles' defense and how they kind of go and switch, I think there's definite possibility. Any thoughts on Ty Robinson getting some snaps at edge?
I can see it.
Yeah, I think he could be in that Brandon Graham role, who just kind of went inside, outside a lot. I think that's the role that he's probably going to fill.
I can't wait to watch Shane's All 22, where you see a guy like Jalen Hunt kick inside and Ty Robinson kick outside and just geek out, just straight geek out.
Yeah, I will. I will say I'm always leery of asking a rookie to do too many different things. So
Sure.
I would rather see the Eagles find Robinson a role to just stick in and get good at and worry about that versatility later. But that's not always reality. But I always worry about giving a guy too much in year one.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to end the show early tonight. One of the quickest shows we've done in a while. Let's throw it around the horn. Final thoughts, plugs. Ryan Reese, why will you lose Beer Olympics in a few weeks?
I'm not. I have been training, doing my 12-ounce curls. Now it's funny, our show last night went so far over. It's funny that this show ends 10 minutes early, but still, yeah, listen, please make sure that you guys are following all of these gentlemen on X. Please also make sure that you're following Eagles Pin Pull wherever that you are watching this, YouTube, X, Facebook, Twitch, doesn't matter, wherever you find it. Like it, follow it, share it, tell your friends, tell your mom, whatever. And then tomorrow, another football smack talk show at 5:30.
Number what? Like 652? What? How many shows have you done?
Oh,
football smack talk.
Well, of this version, yeah. It's like 360s, but we had another iteration of the show back in the day that we used to do a daily show, so we had like in the thousands. That's what happens when you do this stupid crap for 17 years.
All right, Shane. Final thoughts, plugs, time to.
Yeah, it's good to be back. It's good to be back podcasting again. I recorded a show earlier today with Johnny, and we brought on a guest, James Foster from Wide Left, and it was an awesome show. The evolution of Jaylen Herz, and we went back and used 2021 tape to talk about basically 4 key things that Hertz struggled with early in his career that he's really improved upon. So it's probably one of my favorite shows I've done in a long time. It's up on podcasting platforms, but I would recommend watching that one on YouTube because we do use some film clips. But go check that one out and let us know what you think. That's a show I've been wanting to do for a long time, and I'm glad we finally got around to it.
Nice.
David, you're up, man.
I'd like to give a shout out to the Philadelphia Eagles owner, Jeff Lurie, who donated $50 million this morning to open the Lurie Autism Institute in partnership with the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. It's the first of its kind institute. It's located in Philadelphia. Autism is near and dear to his heart. His brother, I think his name's Peter, has that. This is an amazing, effort, an amazing gift. His philanthropy is going to be what he's remembered for as much as these Super Bowl titles. He's one of the best owners in football, and he just proves again how much he loves the community, how much he gives back. And it's a proud moment to root for an organization and someone who owns it that has, the kind of compassion and heart that he does.
Yeah.
Krabby says, I can't tell you how much that means to me. As someone who literally, I've lived in the field of autism for the last 20 plus years. I'm a behavior analyst. I work in school districts all across Pennsylvania, and I did not know that. And I'm embarrassed, David. I did not.
Oh, it literally just happened this morning. So,
but it's just whether it's the Eagles, on the books, covering up mistakes with Bryce Huff and moving on, or off the field with an owner that just gets Philadelphia and just gets it. Man, it's refreshing to talk about this Eagles team compared to every other team that's in this city. Like the Phillies, they've got way too much Doc Rivers syndrome going on with the regular season. You look at the Sixers, they're cooked. They're done. They have owners that are irrelevant right now. And I feel like David said, just to compound on that, that's awesome. That's just super cool.
Yeah, that's real good.
Super cool. Krabby says we need to talk. Didn't get diagnosed at 63, and there's no help. Message me, Krabby. I work with adults as well. So, guys, thank you everyone for watching. He is Ryan Reese at Philly Sports PSA. I also work with Ryan. At Shane Happ, NFL, my man Shane, and David at PHL Eagle News. Thank you everyone for watching. Tuesday nights. Oh, quick update.
Oh, yeah.
Moving to Monday nights, 8 p.m. For virtual round.
Do we tease our topic or no?
Yes, we will be doing a top 16 ranking of quarterbacks in the NFL. I'm already panicking, and I feel like my ranking, you guys are just going to make fun of me the entire show.
Dives, you could hang things up on the wall and throw darts at it, and it will be better than some of the QB rankings that are out there. So trust me, you do not have to have the first clue what you're talking about to put out quarterback rankings.
Yeah, Chris Sims does exist.
Is Kurt Warner joining us as well to give his quarterback rankings? Do we have him on the show too? No.
You have to talk to Eric about that one, I guess.
All right, we'll borrow him.
Dives, you make fun. That's true. That's also true. Thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you Monday night, 8 o'clock. Make sure you check out Football Smack Talk Show. My man Ryan tomorrow, as well as The Edge with Eagles Eric. And Shane does an amazing job with Johnny breaking down Jaylen Herz and his evolution as a passer. Go check that out. It's all on the channel. For Ryan, for Shane, for David, for myself, stay awesome, everyone.